I am just so looking forward to this conversation with Lee-Anne. Yay! She's going to pop on any minute now as all of you are popping on. There she is. Okay, what do I have to do here? I have to invite you. Or Lee-Anne, do you ask to join? Oh, you did. I think you're going to be joining in a sec. Oh, so many people jumping on. Bhavani, Denise, Brandy, billionaire Brandy. There she is. Lee-Anne, how are you?
I'm so great. I'm so excited for this. I feel like every day I'm like, oh, like in a couple more days, it's going to be my chat with Hina. I love it. I'm so pumped.
Oh, me too. We have so many of our friends joining on. We've got Drina, Glorious Glenn. Oh my God. So many of you. So you know, I just love to get right to it. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Lee-Anne, but I'm actually not going to read her bio. You can read that. I just want to tell you about the Lee-Anne that I know. So the Lee-Anne that I know and why I wanted to have this conversation with her is somebody who is constantly stretching and thinking about the next level. And she's always in two worlds. So there's the world, the physical world that she is in, and then there's the world that she is in, her next level world. And it's been so interesting to be with you, Lee-Anne, and watch you navigate these two worlds, because sometimes your physical reality is not a match to what's in your imagination, and you're really living in your imagination. And you've had to do that. So Lee-Anne owns, you probably have seen her online. You probably came into this with Second Skin Society.
Yes.
And it's all about fitness, movement, and helping people wherever they are. And if you see any of Lee-Anne's videos and promotional videos, what you're going to see is people of all sizes. You're going to see people of all races, all genders, people identifying however they identify. And that's what I love about you, Lee-Anne, is you're all about inclusivity, diversity, and even in the way that you've had to pivot this year, that core principle has been there throughout everything that you've done. So what I talk about right now, what I want to get started with is, when the pandemic started, what changes did you start to make in your business?
So I think something that I have shared with people has been that when all of this came, so when everything was closing down, first of all, when the conversation was happening about closing, I actually decided, even prior to being restricted or being forced to stop teaching in person, I think maybe 1 or even maybe 2 weeks before that, I had decided that we were going to pause all of the classes that I was teaching, and that anybody that was kind of on my team at the time was teaching. I truly don't exactly remember what my thought process was in that moment, but what I was starting to think about was, if this is a reality, the conversations that were happening, and that we were going to be forced to shut down, what was I going to do? So it was an immediate shift to, what can I do, instead of staying in the place of, I can't do this and I can't do this, and this isn't going to last very long. And it may not have, right? Like, at the time we didn't know. And so I feel like one of the things that was really impactful for me was that I didn't choose to wait to see what happened. I chose to take action immediately, knowing that I had options.
You know what's interesting about that, Lee-Anne, is Lexi said the same thing when it happened, that she kind of made the decision.
No, I keep getting frozen.
Oh, sorry. Are we back?
Okay, I'm good. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what was interesting is that Lexi said the same thing, that she did the same thing. She kind of made the decision before being mandated to. They were sensing things. So that's very interesting. That's just interesting to me. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's an interview that I did with Lexi that you can find on my feed.
I listened to that and I did find that quite interesting too. And that actually was what reminded me of the fact that I had done the same. I don't know if that's intuition, just saying, hey, like, let's start to look into different opportunities. I personally believe that that's what it is just intuition saying, hey, this is, look over here, pay attention to over here. And so as soon as I started thinking about, and truthfully, I had such incredible people around me. I mean, my partner came home with a camera, a GoPro, and he said, just start filming classes. Just start filming. And had I not had that person be a driver for me, I probably would have put it off for a period of time. It's not that, I was definitely looking at the options, but I was also very scared. I was also really intimidated to put myself out in that way, because there's a big difference between recording something and putting it out where millions of people have access to it, and being in a room with, maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe 30 or 40 people, and you teach the class, and when the class is over, it's like that chapter is closed. You're not going to really remember all the mistakes. Where on video, you can watch those mistakes over and over, and boy, did I. It took me a little bit of time to get to the point where I could release the perfectionism in me and just understand that people actually really gravitated towards relatable. They gravitated towards like seeing themselves. If I was wobbling in a balanced posture and they were wobbling in a balanced posture, there was a connection there. There was an ability to relate, and just a human to human, not a teacher to student, just a human to human. And that was a big part of the way that I wanted to create the membership, was just real people. I don't do my makeup to film classes. I don't. I throw my hair up in a messy bun because that's what you're all doing.
Yeah,
You may be rolling out of bed.
but that takes a strong self-image to do that. That takes a strong self-image to do that. And did you think, because your industry is one that is very polished and people, it's your body, like your industry is about your body, moving your body and things like that. Did you have a moment where you thought, well, I don't know, maybe people don't want this. Maybe if I'm too real, maybe I have to show up this way. Did you have that debate in your head?
100%, but it was true.
Really?
Yeah, it was that debate though that like spurred on what I actually wanted to see change in the fitness industry. And I know like the evolution of the membership itself, and it really came from identifying deeply rooted flaws in this industry. And one of those things is the perfectionism of it, or the idea of what you're supposed to look like if you're teaching fitness classes, or who you're representing, and all these different things. And I talk about this a lot because it's an example that I know that people often don't think about until it's presented to them. And then all of a sudden when they get that, oh my goodness, it's so true, they can't stop thinking about it. So I remember one of the kind of pivotal pieces to me in where I started to look at the industry and things that I wanted to change, ways that I wanted to create change. Showing up and being real is one of those pieces. And I remember thinking back to when my mother would, she had workout videos. I'm talking like decades ago when I was young, and she had at-home workout videos, and it was always the 3 super skinny white women, and 2 were very, very, very thin in their spandex, and the other also very thin, but slightly different body type. And she did the modifications every single time, every time. And it was like those types of things that I was just like, that's so wrong. But it just goes to show how the fitness industry has been so established concretely in a certain way and marketed in a certain way for decades. And we see, real people with real bodies and flaws, quote unquote flaws, showing themselves, and millions of people are starting to gravitate towards those accounts. And it's because we're just so desperate to just be ourselves and not be judged and have a safe space. And the fitness industry really needs to change so that we can have that safe space to show up and move our bodies. It's not just about trying to change. It's about movement for health. That's what it was. That's what I am creating.
Well, okay. So now, so we're, it's so interesting because it's like this conversation is really about the paradigms in the industry. And I think there's another in your industry that you would have had to deal with, which is money, compensation, because many times, like I know you do a range of fitness and yoga is part of it too. We think of yoga and yoga teachers, just like in the like starving artist,
Yeah.
there's idea of you're more, I don't know, authentic or grounded if you are poor. if
Yeah.
you're poor and this, it doesn't matter and it shouldn't matter. So it's interesting because part of you is saying here that you're challenging the industry by saying, you know what? How we show up is how we show up and we're fucking perfect.
Yes.
And so that's challenging the superficial part of the industry that wants you to show up in a certain way and decide what is, yeah, someone's saying that is 100% true about the yoga. But then now you're also challenging something when it comes to making money in your industry and being available for wealth. Yeah. So was that something that you had to shift in your mind?
It's so interesting, and especially because you bring up yoga, because I went through both ends of the spectrum. Definitely had the experience of, if you are a true yogi, then you are pure at heart and you're offering yoga from your heart. And yeah, you should basically be poor. You're not really making money off of that. That's not a profession that you get into to make money. But interestingly, that